STAKK Nation, welcome back to the channel.
Champions.
While Bitcoin is winning, there is a bunch of people who are losing. So it's nice to always look at the other side of the table, so we know who the opponents are. Because you always have to have an opponent on this earth. Some people will be right and some will be wrong. I'd like for us to take a look at the face of a loser here.
I love how they call it the next big risk.
The next big risk, next big risk, next big risk. Oh yeah. At the bottom of the screen there. Listen. Yeah.
You're a risk or you're a loser.
It is the next big risk. That's for sure. Let me see.
No, they don't need to see it. Just let it be, man.
You sure? Okay.
Yeah, it's good. It's just at the bottom of the screen. Our face is covering it.
Yeah, our face is covering it. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, yeah. That is what it is. Oh wait, look at that. We can go back like that.
Okay, yeah. Boom. There you go.
The next big risk. Okay. All right. So just listening on what these people are saying, and then let's discuss it.
Take a breather.
That we're really vulnerable to is the sustainability of the global payment system. And I choose the word sustainability over the word vulnerability because the real key here is keeping the global payment system running. And we've had so many hacks, terrorist attacks, the Colonial Pipeline incident. It would appear to me that we are extremely vulnerable to having an attack against the payment system of the financial markets, and not just here in the United States, but in Europe. And so, what I'm really talking about is things like the Fed wire, where all the banks' money, clears through, but then also something like the Depository Trust Corporation, the DTC, SWIFT, Euroclear. I mean, I can just keep going on and on and on. And if there was a synchronized attack, we would essentially bring the global financial markets to its knees. And probably the first response would be that securities prices would crash. And the second issue would be that we would probably have to close all the exchanges and in the world potentially in order to figure out how we restore the global payment system. The thing that bothers me about something like the global payment system is I don't think anyone's focused on it. And this really takes a high degree of international cooperation. It takes a real macro look, meaning there needs to be somebody or some group of people who are looking at how everything interconnects and where the potential vulnerabilities are. I think at this stage, this is in the world of the unthinkable. And so therefore, I've used this phrase before, there's a cognitive dissonance around it, which is to talk about this idea the consequences are so dire that immediately people just sort of move on to say, well, that'll never happen, right? And so it's, I think there's a real vulnerability to the markets in general, but even to the existence of capitalism if the payment system were to be suddenly disrupted.
Now, what likelihood?
Well, sounds like the biggest central point of failure. What are your thoughts on this one, Dolo?
I will use this opportunity to tell us that it's very critical that they use fear mongering to get us to get in line with their strategy. I remember growing up as a child that fear mongering was what they used to preach the gospel. You're gonna go to hell.
Is this right?
Now, you're going to go to hell because the banks are going to fail. Yes, the banks are going to fail because of their security system is not prepared for the possible technological advancements and the attacks on their network, on their centralized networks.
Yep.
Attacks, terrorism, X, Y, and Z. Their established systems, it's already weak. We know that. We see that. They get hacked all the time, but they don't publish that.
Yeah.
But you know one thing that has not been hacked right now? That is secure, that it could be used for that is being used right now for global transactions without.
What is that? There's something like that?
Oh yeah, 99.99.
Oh snap!
Uptime.
That's not possible, dude. How can anything ever be running 99% of the time since its discovery? Google has not been able to achieve that. Not even Microsoft. And these are some high-end companies, man.
They just went out last week over some global satellite problem.
Oh.
But you know what never went down?
What never went? What is that?
Bitcoin.
Shocking. I wonder, but does Bitcoin have a team that is working and trying to keep it up all the time? Like, what's going on?
No.
Damn,
It's not even a company.
this thing sounds like
There's no management. There's no software developer. Everybody just builds on it.
it sounds like a floating, just like some floating miracle, man. Just walking by itself.
Hey, man. Fish brains sometimes, man. I tell you.
Oh my god, this is absolutely insane, man.
Very
Yeah.
insane.
We have technology that is out there just coasting by itself. Yet we have this guy here in his suit, sounding like he's saying something important, but there's nothing important about what this guy is saying here. Okay, other than that, the system that we're in is vulnerable. It is a fiat system. It's probably going to get hacked. I mean, they're advertising the hacking right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he said something in there that was absolutely shocking to me. They're going to have to shut down every exchange globally.
Oh, another Robin Hood type effect.
Yes. Why are we having these conversations right now? It's going to happen. It is going to happen. Listen, we've already seen it. He said it himself that if the global financial systems get hacked, and if that payment system goes down, this payment system will go down. It's not about if it goes down. It will go down. It's coming. Just wait for it. And then the next step of their plan will be now to shut down all the exchanges as well. Listen, imagine the amount of robbery.
You must
That is
have been
com-
thinking what I'm thinking. I'm like, man, dude, I need a gun real quick.
Listen, robbery on the highest level, like you have not seen before. When it comes back, everyone is in chaos, just trying to figure out things, man. Guess what?
You thought
Their money is gone,
You thought 1919 was horrible with the bank runs? This is going to be worse.
brother.
Don't even have gold in your house, man. They're coming for you.
Listen, here's the thing, man. Imagine this. At one point in time, you try to access your Fidelity, you try to access Robinhood or anything like that, and it's just all down, right? And then maybe for like
A day is fine.
maybe like a day or a week, even a week. I think maybe like a week. Okay, then all of a sudden, boom, we have fixed it. Finally, we overcame. We beat the hackers and all of that stuff. And then boom, everything comes back. And let's say you had 500 or 700, whatever that you had in your account, right? And then now it comes back and things are just all over the place, jagged. And you're like, hey, this is not what. Okay. Then they say, oh, okay, it was a massive thing. We're going to settle back people and everything like that. Guess what? Let me give an example of the situation. There's this chick on Twitter, Tiffany Fong. She lost just because she put this out there. So she had a bunch of Bitcoin in there. I think it was over $100,000 worth or something like that, right? And so now they come to this point where they're like, okay, well, since they lost it, to the whole when the exchanges went bankrupt and all of that stuff, and then they're like, all right, we're gonna settle people now. $100,000, and I think they gave her back maybe like $40,000.
Yeah. She said, yeah. I saw that.
So
yeah.
it's the same thing. You might have millions of dollars in your account, and they say, okay, now we're gonna try to settle people, and you are not getting the same thing back. You're getting
FDIC
way
and sharing
less.
it. Yep.
Yes, but guess where the rest of the money is? It's not because it does not exist. They have taken it because they realize that their whole situation is a sham, and they need a way to take back control, keep people down. Because when you don't have the resources anymore to navigate around, then you're under their control. But when you have the resources and you have the flexibility and the ability to move your wealth wherever you want across the globe, do we really need to finish this video? Because these people are it's the same sort of garbage, man. Right? But yeah, let's push on. But I hope you guys get where I'm coming from with this, right? So let's play on here.
By the way,
Yeah.
this is not a conspiracy theory. It's boom, right in your face. They're literally coming out now and telling you. And you're going to sit down and just say, oh, what am I going to do about it? I'm sure it's in the government's hands. They have a good plan. When has the government ever had a great plan?
If you think this is conspiracy theory, you need to get brain checked. Anyhow.
Do you see of some sort of damaging attack on the global payment system and the U.S. payment system in particular?
Right. Well, I think that I would put the
She does look
probability
concerned.
She knows it's already happening, bro. It's happening.
Nice tie, though. I like that tie.
Certainly well over 50%. And the reason that I put it so high is, one, is nobody seems focused on it. And two, for someone who's sitting out there thinking that they want to disrupt our economy, this is the most logical choke point in the economy. So, I got accused when talking about this once that I'm actually alerting terrorists and other governments on how to attack us. But I think that the likelihood is they're already thinking about it. Interrupting this flow of capital, would just cascade through the system, because people, if they sell a security or they're looking to raise cash for some reason, whether it's a business or an investor, they're usually doing that because they've committed to cash on the other side. And so you can just see how it can just become a chain. We need an international cooperation to begin to assess the risk and figure out how, one, in the short run, we can harden the system that exists, and two, in the long run, modernizing it. Delivery versus payment, which is the standard way that we've delivered securities for 100 years, is sort of, in an age like ours, kind of ridiculous. There's no reason why that just can't be instantaneous. And so, but that's going to take, a new generation of technology, and whether that's blockchain or whatever that is, it needs to be modernized. And in the short run, I think that people, especially people like central banks, exchanges, so on and so forth, need to really take a hard look at their systems, not just their system, but the interconnectivity of the system, and how secure is that connection that's being made. Not just from the standpoint of it being disrupted, but since you're sending information through the ether, what's the chance that can be redirected somewhere?
Are you saying that we don't have a financial system that's built for our modern era?
Exactly. We're living off of an antiquated system that was a hodgepodge of things that got put together.
Do you think that tech companies have a role to play in making this financial system safer?
Absolutely. I mean, look, without the intelligence, the sophistication of the tech industry, I think it would be virtually impossible. But, that's the history of the United States, right? I mean, the aircraft companies that developed, sophisticated new planes and bombers in the Second World War, it was all done by the private sector. So, historically, the private sector is always called upon to take a leadership role. It just is that we need to define the problem. And I've identified the problem. I haven't defined it exactly, because I don't know what all the pieces of this thing are. And that's a lot of work to figure out the pieces. And that's what I think right now central banks and governments should be doing, a coordinated effort of figuring the whole thing out, and then going to people to work on trying to create solutions. I think letting governments do it themselves will take too long, and it'll be too expensive. The number one risk.
Ooh, interesting.
A lot, huh?
Yes, your thoughts, sir.
Fire. The system was put together by a bunch of hodgepodge. Not surprised, right? That's how the government works.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They need to be able to do it instantaneous, right? Because you have to commit it on the ledger somewhere and wait for the confirmation to go through. You know how that works. The systems are not hardened. As you know, we have to shut it down during the weekend so that everything can connect and update, right? So Saturday, Sundays.
Stops working after 5.
There
Every
you
day.
go, right?
Yeah.
And we need the central banks and the governments to start working globally to solve the problem. How do you put the person that has created the problem, that is involved in the problem, to be in
solve the
charge
problem?
to solve the problem? I will finish by saying this. We do not have a financial system built for our current era. I would repeat. In this world that we live in, we do not have a financial system built for our current era. But guess what? They said they're going to send it to the private sector to fix it. The private sector have found the solution. We have fixed it.
It's called Bitcoin.
Booyah. Why did I say booyah, man?
Yeah.
Like Jim Cramer, right?
Yeah.
Booyah!
Yeah.
Bye.
Fiat is laying on the ground. Listen, this is true. This is
Man
true.
in the suits, huh? Trying to talk all smart.
I was thinking the same thing. He was like, yeah, we need to pass it on to the private sector. I was like, yeah, private sector already got you. It's called Bitcoin, goddammit.
Golly.
I swear to God, bro. Every day I listen to these people who are supposed to be professionals and economists and stuff like that. My brain is hurting, man. Because it's like every day it's just, you're just continuously listening to stupid people, man. People who have been misguided. And it sucks, man, because at some point in time I asked myself, am I feeling bad about bashing this person because they're wearing a suit or because they're really intelligent and I'm trying to, take them down? There is a level of laziness that comes with these people, man. Nice suits, man. Nice suits. But you know what they say it is? It's like when, have you heard of that thing where it's like, if someone walked in, let's say you're sitting in a hospital and a random person walked in and they're wearing a doctor's suit, you're not going to question whether they're a doctor or not.
No, you don't.
You assume that they're a doctor and they know what they're talking about.
Because they are in the hospital.
In the hospital and the doctor's
exactly.
suit. That is the case with a lot of these financial advisors, man. Their hospital is on TV with a fancy ass suit and tie, talking about some complicated things that nobody understands. When you look at how financial advisors, whether it's investors or wherever the heck these people are, when you look at how they discuss investments and finances on TV, they use all these complicated terms. When on earth, in anyone's schooling career here in the US, they didn't teach them any of these complicated terms and things like that. But they expect to come up on TV and say, oh, well, this is going up by X, Y, and Z multiple, and this is 10 basis points, and this is, if you look at the theta, if you look at the gamma, and people are going like, oh, yeah. Well, when on earth did any of you learn any of this terminology? Because I know that nobody in America had the financial education while they were in school where they taught them these things. But you have these people who go to this Harvard and whatever else, and then they come out and they start splashing all these crazy terms that no one understands.
Give a flying F about.
So they come on TV and just say whatever the hell they want to say, and they just get away with it because at the end of the day, nobody knows what the hell they're talking about.
It's all about making them look smart. All that looking smart does not impact your wallet.
It does not impact your wallet. But I'll tell you what is very simple. Everybody in this country knows that the money they have worked belongs to them. They know that the money that they hold in their hand, the bank should not be able to freeze it. They have paid taxes on that money, and they have the freedom to do whatever they want to do with that money. They should be able to transact it across the globe if they want to. It is theirs. It is their property, and if they choose to do so, so be it. You do not need complicated mathematics or complicated words for that. It is called buying your Bitcoins, maintaining ownership of your own property, okay, and having that ability to transact globally with anyone. And if you're just in it for the money, well, guess what? There is no theta and earnings and whatever sort of crazy things that people have to go and research in order to understand, would the Feds be increasing rates today? Would they be dropping rates today? As a basic stock investor, the amount of work you have to do just to buy and sell stocks and things like that is insane. It's a full-time job. It's madness. Or you could just buy Bitcoin
and relax
and just chill. There's no way you're going to lose. Okay? There is no company on earth. Do we need this slide here?
Well, because while people are still slacking, they might need to know what the status of Bitcoin is.
Okay, well, what is on, if you could please give us a brief, what is this table here showing us?
So, Bitcoin, is it secure? Can it be hacked? Number one, nodes and miners protect the network.
Right.
You and I, it's a community-based money. We protect the network. You don't have to rely on some bank somewhere, some central bank somewhere, to maintain the accuracy of that money flow.
Yeah.
And you don't have to wait for the next 2 days for the transaction to be confirmed in your bank account. It's right there on the blockchain.
Instant settlement.
Now, here's what's very important. This money is not in charge of any central bank. As you can see in that orange place, that is the amount of Bitcoin that individuals have, you and I can have. In the process of developing and mining this Bitcoin, a lot of people have lost it. That is that black space. Those are Bitcoins that will never be on any exchange, on any peer-to-peer money gun. Now, the group of people or the person that invested the Bitcoin, Satoshi, as you can see there, is that yellow part. That one is locked away forever, from what we believe.
Even if it moves, I don't think it would affect anything now.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then we have companies like BlackRock,
Yeah.
hedge funds, financial managers in that green zone.
Yeah.
Then we have MicroStrategy, Tesla. We hear Apple and Amazon accumulating in
The blue
companies.
zone. Yeah.
And governments, the US government, the Chinese government, the British government.
El Salvador.
And then, people trying to double print, doing DeFi stuff over there. Right? So all you got left is that white space.
Oh.
So if you love yourself, still slack.
Okay. Listen, all at the same time, this is something that is worth noting here. Bitcoin has been up and running for 99.9% of its life, no downtime. Since January 3rd, 2009 at 2:54 GMT when it started running. It's like hand sanitizer. It kills 99.99% of the bacteria. It's incredible. It's powerful. And I love hand sanitizer, man. Is there another company that has achieved this before? 99.9% uptime? That's pretty much 100% uptime.
No, literally God.
Yeah. That is insane.
God is the only one that have been up under.
Which in
100%
many ways, if you look at it, let me give you guys religious angle of Bitcoin.
Preach.
We humans are made in the image of God. And so with the human collaboration, you see that that's the only way you can achieve something like this, because we are God. And it is through us that something like this is able to happen. 99% uptime on a technology that is not owned by a centralized group for greed and profits and stuff like that. Come at us. We know this thing anyhow. Anything else you want to add, sir, before we proceed? Nothing else. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go, I would like to read you guys a little bedtime story. Okay?
That's a good way to call it. Use your sexy voice too.
Yes, I'll read you guys a bedtime story I'll use my late night DJ voice with a downward inflection. Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Satoshi Nakamoto. Abstract. Damn, I really start to realize. Audible. If you want to hire somebody to read books, I have something. Listen. A purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. Digital signatures provide part of the solution, but the main benefits are lost if a trusted third party is still required to prevent double spending. We propose a solution to the double spending problem using a peer-to-peer network. The network timestamps transactions by hashing them into an ongoing chain of hash-based proof of work, forming a record that cannot be changed without redoing the proof of work. I think they're speaking of rolling the chain back there. I remember when Ethereum just rolled the chain back casually.
Ethereum classic.
Anyway, the longest chain not only serves as proof of the sequence of events witnessed, but proof that it comes from the largest pool of CPU power. As long as the majority of CPU power is controlled by nodes that are not cooperating to attack the network, they will generate the longest chain and outpace the attackers. The network itself requires minimal structure. Messages are broadcast on a best effort basis, and nodes can leave and rejoin the network at will, accepting the longest proof of work chain as proof of what happened while they were gone. So even if you try to hack this thing, it will give you your own chain.
Fuck.
And
That's what
then
we'll call it.
then the longest proof of work chain, then the
Continues.
longest history is going to be your real Bitcoin.
Maintain Bitcoin.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is extremely powerful, and that is what we call freedom money. Until next time, please like the video, share, subscribe. We hope you found it informative, educational, and so on and so forth. Also follow us on X. We are there at STAKK, and of course Spotify at STAKK. Until next time, praise and out.
Double O.